Free Britney till it's backwards. At least that's what the media and fans used to say, but nowadays it seems as if the almost 14-year battle for Britney's freedom was perhaps a mistake. In the chaotic historical year of 2020, movements were established all across the US. From social issues to entertainment mishaps, #FreeBritney was amongst those propelled into the spotlight more than Britney herself had been in years. Everyone was ecstatic when the news of her longtime conservatorship ran mostly by her father, Jamie Spears, had ended in 2021 after countless vouching, support, and documentaries. But due to questionable circumstances and countless twirl videos, here's why some people are regretting ever shouting the words, "Free Britney." In the wonderful years of the 90s, the Disney machine perfected a formula that'll turn its stars into multi-platinum selling artists, getting her big break on Disney's The Mickey Mouse Club alongside other familiar faces such as Christina Aguilera, Ryan Gosling, and Justin Timberlake. Her southern charm and stage presence instantly made her a fan favorite, and she had used the opportunity to seal herself a record deal in her late teens as the kids' skit show came to an end. Releasing Hit Me Baby One More Time, Britney's career immediately skyrocketed, and she'd be hailed the Princess of Pop after years on top in the business and an abundance of hit records, awards, and millions of album sales under her belt. As the fans grew, so did Britney and her music. She's been able to do something that many artists in her particular genre and in the overall industry haven't been able to obtain, which is mainstream relevance and support thanks to a powerhouse team and loving fans. But the year 2007 showed us a different side of Britney that'd leave us all concerned for her well-being as well as the safety of her kids. Little did we know, this would be the year that everything changed for Brit and pop culture as a whole. The release of her album Blackout, despite getting mixed reviews, served to be one of Britney's best bodies of work, according to the Britney Mafia. From a blonde girl next door prototype to a black-dyed rebellious diva, she was in her bad girl era, and the fans were living for the transformation. But what lies beneath the surface of Gimme More's hostess was a brewing decline of Britney's mental state. She was on her last leg both in her career and personal life, and absolutely no one was prepared for what would go down that year and the years following. The pressure of the media became all too much for her, and we'd witnessed the demise of Britney's mental health up close and personal. One infamous incident was the snaps we'd see on the front pages of almost all media outlets of Britney holding a pair of clippers and shaving the side of her head. Giving yourself a haircut is the least of anyone's worries, but the events that followed suit had everyone clutching their invisible pearls. While antsy paparazzi awaited outside, taking an umbrella, Britney was not having it and went berserk, attempting to break the windows of pap cars and bomb rushing towards their cameras. This sparked the Britney is unwell narrative, which only increased when she performed at the MTV VMAs that same year looking confused, disinterested, and lost. The same year, she lost custody of her two boys she had with wannabe rapper Kevin Federline, and all the incidents led to the famous or infamous Leave Britney Alone video dropped by Chris Crocker. The video, as well as the incidents that happened that year, were parodied in countless other videos and movies, and it was all seen as hysterical. But as we all know by now at our big age, it was anything but. Britney's mental state was a gateway for her to be taken advantage of and used by the puppeteers whom she trusted to run her career. And in the following year, she'd be involuntarily placed under a conservatorship by Judge Reva Goetz, who'd assigned her father, Jamie Spears, and attorney Andrew M. Wallet as her main conservators. For those who may be unaware of what a conservatorship actually is, it's basically a legal concept where a guardian is assigned by a judge in order to deal with the financial aspects and daily life of another human due to physical and mental limitations. Britney was placed under a probate conservatorship, which is a conservatorship that is supposed to last indefinitely, and the cases that followed were not helping her case. After barricading herself and her youngest son in a bathroom during a visitation, authorities were called, and Brit would be placed in a psychological hold not once, but twice. She'd eventually gain back visitation rights, but the storm was far from over. Mama Lynn Spears decided to step into her author bag and drop a memoir, Through the Storm, with revelations of incidents regarding Britney's life and overall well-being. One of those being how Britney's former manager, Sam Lutfi, crushed a bunch of pills and placed them in her food in an attempt to control her quote-unquote drug usage. 2008 would also be the year that the Free Britney movement gained recognition, and Britney, unbeknownst to the majority, would often talk about the hostage-like situation she'd currently been in. In an MTV documentary, Britney, From the Trenches, she spoke on the conservatorship. "There's no excitement, there's no passion. I have really good days, and then I have bad days. Even when you go to jail, you know there's the time when you're gonna get out. But in this situation, it's never ending. It's just like Groundhog Day every day. During this time, unbeknownst to us, the courts had approved a $1.5 million payout to her conservators, attorneys, and those connected to the case. Britney would be reduced out of the limelight for quite some time before shooting her shot as a judge on the US version of the singing competition show, The X Factor. Needless to say, she was not a fan-favorite judge amongst viewers due to her monotonous nature and lack of actual critical judgment. Nevertheless, folks were just happy to see the pop sensation grace our television screens once again. Glory, Britney's 9th studio album, was released in 2016, but it lacked the true Britney oomph fans had so desperately missed. The promotional performances also served to be underwhelming, and people couldn't help but notice that all of her performances slightly mimicked that one time back in 2007 when she gave us nothing during that 2007 VMA caricature of a Britney show. Only difference being that her choreography was heightened, although not nearly as what it used to be during her glory days in the early 2000s. She was doing everything Britney does, but it all appeared to be a shell of her former self, and you could tell Britney was just not into it like she once was, almost as if she was being forced. The Free Britney movement was steadily building, although not yet mainstream news. Fans began rallying at city halls and started getting the word out about the conservatorship. Around this time is where the cryptic Instagram captions and questionable behavior by Britney herself would ensue. Reassuring her fans that she was in fact fine would be nothing but noise to Britney fans who were without a doubt adamant that she was being forced to put out the strange messages and short videos, and as we all know by now, they were right. 2020 would be the year that everything done in the dark came to the light, and news of her conservatorship was pushed all the way to the forefront, with Britney herself confirming that she had been under one for over a decade and desperately wanted out. A Change.org and White House petition were created and signed by thousands. TikTok was utilized, and a 2021 doc framing Britney Spears garnered massive attention, and the Free Britney movement was finally at its prime. Backed by countless celebs, including Mickey Mouse Club alumni Christina Aguilera and Justin Timberlake, after a leaked video of Britney's own testimony in court, 13 years later, Britney Spears was finally a free woman and her conservatorship was no more. Upon hearing the news, fans were ecstatic, and Britney was met with an overwhelming wave of support and resources. But not even a year after the end of all the commotion, fans, although happy for Britney's freedom, began giving Miss Spears the side-eye. Her impromptu dance videos, lengthy captions, and usage of social sites were seen as innocent and adorable in the beginning, like a child being newly introduced to the world. But over time, the videos and IG captions began to be all too much even for fans and followers. Posting topless and semi-nude photos accompanied by messy hair and permanent eyeliner that stains her face in almost every video. People continued their investigative research even after the conservatorship, and many jumped to conclusions on the continued odd behavior. Her new man, Sam Asghari, being framed as a main suspect. Giving her the benefit of the doubt, the questionable content continued, and folks were convinced that maybe the conservatorship was slightly needed after all. Of course, a divide between pro versus anti-conservatorships ensued, with opposing arguments stating how child stars who go down similar routes that end up in conservatorships are only in them due to their own parents pimping them out. Popular former Nickelodeon actress Amanda Bynes being used as a prime example. Others seem to believe whether Britney's state of well-being is up to par or slowly getting there, she should be allowed to make her own decisions like a normal adult without being subjected to a childlike normalcy by her own father, and according to Britney herself, her mother, along with the rest of her family, were cashing in on her figurative bondage. Whether you agree or not with Britney's conservatorship, it's without saying that Miss Britney is finally free and living her best life, vacationing and twirling on. How do you feel about the argument surrounding Britney's past conservatorship? Let us know your thoughts down below in the comments.